Alright, so I'm doing Rapa Nui, or the European name for it is Easter Island, and it's, I don't think I have, I think on the other slide I have a map, but it's 22,000 miles away from the west coast of Chile, making it one of the most isolated places in the world. The first settlers were Polynesian, proven by their DNA, which they dug up some skeletons, and they had mainstream Polynesian DNA, and they were from around 318 AD. In 1822, or from 1600 to 1722, there was a massive cultural and ecological upheaval, and basically there was a lot of destruction. And these people came, when they came to an island, it was covered in a type of wine palm that was like related to a wine palm on mainland Chile, which actually was really important to them and had to do with the downfall. And Jacob Rojavine discovered Easter Island in 1722 on Easter Sunday, giving it its name. And I mean, he discovered it for the European world, not necessarily in general, because they already had already people. And if I go back to slide. The modern day capital is Hangaro, which is right here, and they have an airport, and there aren't too many people on the island. I wasn't sure of the exact population, but now I can go to the next slide. What significance did the Moai of Easter Island have to the native Rapa Nui people? But to answer this, we first have to find out what a Moai is. These are actually two pictures, and a Moai is a large, as you can see here, is a large legless statue with accented eyes or ears, noses, generally heads, and sometimes eyes, if you can see in these. And the average Moai on the island is 14 feet tall, 6 inches, and is 14 tons. And they were created early as 500 AD, but the peak production was from 1000 to 1615 AD, and they were carved with a basalt hammerstone, which is just like a primitive tool that they used to sculpt these. And it took 50 to 100 people, or 150 people, to move these with logs, with the wine palm that was mentioned before, and they had a road system that made it easier to move them. And go to this side, they were these are just some of the major Moai locations. These little statues, but they were all carved from this volcano right here called Ranu Raraku, and they used the volcanic rock from that volcano. And going back to them, they practiced religion like a lot of other Polynesian cultures did, and instead of like having a major god, they worshipped their ancestors. And in most, like in more central Polynesia, where the islands are closer and cultures are less isolated, it was normally developed as they had little figurines or statues that held the quote sacred spirit, which was the combined spirit of their ancestors. And instead of having the little spirit or statues and stuff, they had these huge rock monuments, which is kind of, I guess you could sort of equate it to like a gravestone or like a monument and for like somebody's death. And basically, if you had like, I'll show it another. Maybe it's not this one, but if you have more Moai in your area, in your tribal area, it usually denoted more wealth or more power, because you just had more resources to make them with. And so I forgot to mention before that sometimes to like denote that they're special, like that the Moai were special, they would use a volcanic rock called red scoria and white coral to accentuate the eyes. They don't really know why, because they haven't deciphered their texts or language, the native language, because nobody speaks the native language, and it's just like a complicated text. So they don't know why, but they knew that these were special. So and these all these moai, there's very few of them that are their final resting place that are alone, and they're called ahu, but there's a lot of confusion because when you're talking about an ahu, it's like a stone there are these little stone tablets and this whole stone thing that they sit on, which is the physical thing called an ahu, but then the larger group of multiple moai is called an ahu as well, so it refers to the small thing that they sit on as well as the group, and they formed like sanctuaries because you'd have the multiple moai there, and the Rapa Nui people would come and pray to the moai, which would be in turn praying to their ancestors. And, there's about 250 ahus scattered around the island, which you can see, and they're mostly concentrated on the southern coast. This map doesn't really show it because it looks like there's a lot up here, but there are a lot more moai in these ahu than up here, and sometimes their backs are always towards the coast. They don't really know why. Like most of the stuff is, it's a very an unknown culture, just because they didn't have a lot of knowledge once the archaeologists and stuff got there. And the ahus were sometimes dismantled and replaced with more grand ahus and moai. And the fall of the okay, so this is the island, and here, let me turn the lights off. You can basically see that there's only a little bit of trees up in here, and then a little down here, and a little down here, and that's because around 1000 AD, there was a mass deforestation, which resulted in soil depletion and erosion, and this was basically shown in sediment layers that there was a drop in pollen, which was corresponding to the time period where they thought it started, and because there was the forests were basically non-existent at that point, they couldn't use there weren't any logs to roll the moai on, and I think because the palm trees are fairly they're a really kind of softer wood, that they couldn't use them multiple times. So once you use a roller, it'd be basically squished and done. And since there were like there was less area for game to be sheltered in, they got underpopulated and basically extinct. So with all this conflict and lack of food and lack of fuel, moai production stopped, and everybody's tribe started fighting, which basically resulted in when there was like maybe 200,000 people there when Jacob Rochevine found it, and then when Captain James Cook, who was an Englishman, he came back in 1864. There were only 600 men and 20 women on the island, and these now if you go to the island, a lot of the moai are tipped over, and that was because it's kind of a way to like get back at other tribes when they were fighting. You just tip their moai over, because it'd be like kind of like if you went into somebody's church and just like destroyed it. Yeah, and those are just